saved, but not this particular issue, because I didn't understand that was gonna be a particular issue. Anyway, that's my case. And my second case is, I'd like to know if I could be reimbursed for the lost money that I had and the fact that you shut down my license, but that's a totally different story and I don't care that much about it. I care about this. And the third thing is, completely unrelated, I have my water and sewer and my taxes taken out of my bank account. And it says, City of Nelson, $400, City of Nelson, $88. I cannot tell when you take out money which one is my sewer, which one is my hydro, and which one is my something else, right? Because you just say City of Nelson. If you just put, I don't know if it's my bank listed that way or you guys, but couldn't you just put water, sewer, or property tax? Because otherwise I look at my bank statement and you take out 3 things a month some months and 2 things another month, and I never know which one is my tax and which one is my thing, and then I have to go and get the envelopes and I'm all over around the world. If you could just put 2 little letters at the end, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, because it seems to me that the obfuscation or the absolute confusion caused by just saying City of Nelson and not saying which thing it is causes everybody in the city time and money. And if I've overpaid my taxes or made a mistake on my accounting, figuring it out takes me 10 times as long, and it's almost as if the city is intentionally making it confusing, and I'm sure that's not the case.
No, not at all. You should have had
It just says City of Nelson and then the number.
but I meant you should have had something that would say that your taxes will be.
I understand that I can go in my files and say, oh yes, this one matches this one, but I shouldn't have to. I should be able to look at my bank statement and it just should say sewer, water, or property tax, which is a crazy waste of time that I guess everybody goes through, and it's an archaic set of thinking to think that everybody has 20 minutes to cross-check their files. Okay, I'm very nervous. I'm calming down. You guys have been very nice. If I don't succeed with this, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll sell my house. Maybe I'll do something else. But I don't want to spend $500 to stand in front of council and ask for a variance. I'd rather spend $500 making sure that the bylaws are correct. And I don't want to sue the City of Nelson. That would totally suck. But what am I supposed to do otherwise? So I'm hoping that you will save us the time to not do that. I will get a letter that clearly states, that is some kind of certified letter that I can use when I sell my house in case both of you are working elsewhere, that says I'm grandfathered in. I can have my parking, I can have a place that doesn't have parking, I can have the place run remotely so I don't have to be in residence.
Yeah, I would say, I'll have to talk to John and Bernie and find out what representation that they made. None of the B&Bs that were grandfathered have been approved that they could operate as not being a principal resident. And it's unlikely, if there was a misrepresentation made to you that you could, I'd say it's pretty highly unlikely that council's gonna say they will allow that to perpetuate into the future.
I don't understand what you said.
Well, they may, if staff misrepresented, they may say that's fine for you.
But that's my investment.
But if you sold it to somebody else, they would expect.
But I'm building a
person.
business to sell. That's why I need to sell it to somebody else. Otherwise,
and which is fine as long as they stay there and they live there.
No, right? but that's not what. But you're saying to me.
What council doesn't want to see is
I understand.
People from buying houses here just to rent them as Airbnbs without living there.
I understand that with what council wants, but I already did that. Right, I did what council didn't want a decade ago before it was a problem. I was welcomed with open arms and encouraged to invest in this community, which I have done wholeheartedly. When I sell, but what you're saying to me is, you have bought a beautiful vase and you can only sell it to a green-eyed person, right?
Well, I think
because if I can't sell my house as a going business to someone else like me, and it has to be somebody that lives there, that limits my market to strictly residents of Nelson to sell my business to.
People that want to move here.
And so instead of being able to sell my house to any one of the 7 billion people in the world, I can only sell it to one of the 8,000 residents of Nelson. That changes what I can get for my house. So that is
And
why.
you've talked to a realtor about
What?
that?
No,
'Cause
for
our-
sure
our-
it changes what I can get my house if
Our house prices have
I understand that.
substantially
It doesn't
increased.
matter, but we don't know what the house in the future is. If I have 10,000 possible buyers, or if I have 7 million possible buyers,
Yeah.
the number's going to be
I'm just saying
higher.
that's probably unlikely that they
If
would
that's the
present.
way it is, then I'm gonna fight it legally, because
Okay.
you put me, and I don't wanna do that, but you put me in the position to invest all my money here. I want to sell this. When I am old, I want to sell this
So
as a
you're saying
business.
someone told you that you could sell it to somebody else? and they
There
could
was
not
never
live
any
there?
mention that I did, no one ever said a word that I had to be a resident. The rules were, I said, what are the rules? They said, the rules are, you have to have somebody within 15 minutes. And I said, I'm not gonna run it because I'm
And you
not
have
Canadian.
nothing in writing that?
What?
You have nothing in writing?
I never
about
knew
that?
it wasn't a rule, and I do have it in writing in the federal website, and I bet if we go back and look at copies of the old Nelson, BC website in the past, probably or not federal, provincial,
Yeah.
probably you will see that it's listed on the website too. But for sure, it's not a lie, I was misled. So, but for you to say you can't sell it to someone else like me says you can only sell it to a Nelson resident, which is limiting the ability, it's limiting my finances. For sure, if there's more buyers, I'll get a higher price. So, because you've taken that away from me, I want it. I want it to be, otherwise I don't know what I need to do, but it doesn't seem fair that you sold me something and now you're telling me I can't sell what I bought to someone else. I can only sell it to a Nelsonite.
Well, and I think there's also obligation on a buyer to make sure that, like, I'm just bought property, you know.
And as a buyer, I
The-
came and met with Bernie and
I'm
found
just
out the
saying,
information. I took my obligation, I met with you.
The obligation is to understand the bylaws of
As
the
explained to me
municipality.
by the man issuing the license, I followed the bylaws exactly. as
Okay, well, we'll
explained to
check
me.
again the bylaws because.
Well, so you can check the bylaws, but you also have to check to see if Bernie
I will.
misrepresented the
I will.
bylaws, because if he misrepresented, if someone in the city tells me this is the rule, and I follow the rule, the city is responsible for the information they've distributed.
Yeah.
You can't just say, hey, sorry if I told you the wrong thing, you gotta be a lawyer and know the laws. The city is here to tell me what to do if I ask them.
Yeah, I don't know how, like I said, I'll talk to.
Okay, anyway,
to-
we're going around in circles
I'll
and,
talk to John.
and I'm just nervous
and
about
Brendan. Yeah,
So I'd like that, and to find out what to do and to proceed accordingly, and if it means I have to get a variance or do something else or whatever, just advise me.
yeah, because only council can vary their bylaws.
Well, you can
right?
grandfather me, though, that's not a variance in bylaw.
Yeah.
There isn't the same grandfathering provision for
Yeah.
business licenses. For zoning, like if you built a shed right at your property line 60 years ago, we don't make you take down that shed just because the zoning bylaw changes. There's grandfathering for land use, right, for structures. But business licenses are something that goes on an ongoing annual basis that are renewed. So those, while
And
they're
it's not with the property, it's actually with the person.
it's with the person, and those rules can legally change just like that.
So you could legally go in and say to the co-op, only Nelson people can work here?
A certain type of business license can disappear and be replaced with a new one.
So you could,
Like the
you could,
province, for example, can say you must be a BC registered company to have that type of shop.
can you
So
say,
that is-
can you
that
say,
is
go to,
legal.
so can you say, you cannot be a Chinese person and own this kind of company?
We don't control who owns companies.
Okay, so I can own my company, but you're saying my company, which is Roxanne Rental, we'll call
Yeah.
it, I can own Roxanne Rental because that's my business license.
Mhm.
But, as a foreigner, but I can't use that license unless I live in my house as a resident.
Yeah.
That's the controversy.
And under the today's rules to get a license today, a company can't have a
Right.
short-term rental license anyway. It has to be in
Okay,
the name of a person.
I
who
understand that the
lives there.
situation
Yeah.
has changed. You
Yeah.
understand that I have acted in good faith, with honesty, got a license, paid all the things. I've spent $15,000
Mhm.
in the last 10 years not getting my residential grant. So Nelson knows to the tune of $15,000 that I am not a resident, and Nelson has continued to
Yeah.
give me my business license accordingly. If they had stopped me at the beginning or done anything like that along the way, it would be a different story maybe, but it's not, and I don't know what to do, and I'm screwed. So I need to get back to business, and I need to build a business that's going that I can sell to anybody. If you can't do it, I get it, and I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know what
Well,
to
we
do, and I don't
can't
wanna run
as-
this.
What we're saying is we can't as staff, only council could make that decision.
What's that, to grandfather me the ability to
to
To allow it to
exempt
be
you from the
being a
principal
principal
residency,
Well,
not
great.
the grandfather, but to exempt
Yeah.
you from the.
Okay, so,
requirement.
and you can take that to council, I don't have to take that to council. You can take that to council on behalf of
Well,
the
let
city,
me,
cause
here's
of,
what we'll do.
Gar-
I will
yeah.
talk to John and Bernie and find out
uh-huh,
if they recall what representation they made to you. If you have any other information that you can support
no,
your.
I don't, I mean, I didn't, had no idea that it was an issue, I was just trying to play by the rules.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I might